farewell to the senior racing tour. The SRX series is now gone forever. Taz Taylor, I know that was probably a heartbreaking moment. Look, I was a big fan of SRX and still a fan, and I would love to see it come back, right? We all had our opinions on how the SRX series was going to make it or break it, and I think we all missed it. I was just as surprised as anybody when the news come out that the SRX series was not going to come back in the 2024 season, based off of the amount of information we had already received, the tracks, the confirmations, drivers. There was no way in hell that we could have ever predicted on our bingo card that SRX was not going to be back for the 2024 race season. Unfortunately, they are DOA. Taz, what do you think really led to the demise of the SRX series before we go here tonight?
I think a lot of it played into, I don't think the amount of fan support or the support of the short tracks that wanted to get SRX in, I don't think those were the problems. I think one of the biggest problems they had was you were pulling in from in comparison to the first 2 years to the third year. I think the transition from CBS to ESPN was a big setback. I give props to Tony Stewart for bringing up the original idea of doing Thursday Night Thunder so that you could also open up availability of drivers to run your series more. But I think going from CBS, and I know they tried pushing the CBS deal on Thursday nights, but between CBS and SRX, they could not work out a deal because of CBS's primetime shows on Thursday nights. So SRX went the ESPN route, and unfortunately with how ESPN is, it's kind of like having ESPN is basically kind of like having the NFL package. Like, if you want ESPN, you basically have to pay a little bit more money to have their stuff. Or if you want strictly ESPN coverage, then you need to pay so much money a month or a year to get ESPN streaming. Whereas CBS, that was basic TV cable. Like, you could get a basic TV package and you can get CBS. I think that was one of their downfalls on that side of the spectrum. The other side they mentioned was marketing. When it came to marketing, you compare season 1 to seasons 2 and 3. I'm not saying this as a knock on Don Hawk at all. I'm saying it as in, where do your eyes peel to when you hear the names Ray Evernham versus Don Hawk? You're going to go to Ray Evernham because he's more of the bigger name, the common name, versus Don Hawk. When people heard of Don Hawk to start, people are like, who is this guy? And then when you look into it, and he used to be with SMI and stuff like that, at that point you go, oh, okay, now we know who he is. But when you hear Ray Evernham, you're like, oh, he used to be a crew chief for Jeff Gordon. He used to work with Hendrick Motorsports. He had his own race team with Dodge in the Cup Series. And brought up Bill Elliott and Elliott Sadler. And we talked about this within our group in the last couple of weeks, too. Miss Lee said that Tony Stewart, with him and his wife now trying to expand upon their family and work on having a kid. Now Stewart's running full-time NHRA. I think those little details kind of played a part in Stewart's role of SRX. How much would he be involved? I know Stewart wasn't more on the marketing side of things. He was more of driver recruitment. I think those were some of the big downfalls that SRX ran into. It's just a matter of the name behind it, and I think the TV viewership that was not pulling in the money and the viewers that you were getting in the first 2 years.